What's up, guys? It is Thursday, January 26th. It's 3:23, and this is going to be crypto newsletter number 2 of the day. So I came across this, and this shit blows my mind every single time. So this is one of those Riddler accounts or like kind of posts, kind of innuendos ahead of time. This was back March 18, 2022. This picture was tweeted. It's just always just like a picture, no context, right? Then boom, you see this 3 days ago. China-backed blockchain project proposes swift alternative for stablecoins and CbdCs. It's the same picture, guys. And that just blows my mind. But let's just dive into this article because I must have missed it the other day when I was sick. So the company developing China's blockchain network wants to create a system for international settlements with stablecoins and state-issued digital currencies. The plan is to establish a platform facilitating the use of these two fiat-based digital assets in foreign trade. Company behind China's blockchain push aims to make stablecoins and state coins interoperable. So Hong Kong-based Red Date Technology, the designer of China's state-backed blockchain-based service network, has launched a new project to implement both stablecoins and central bank digital currencies and cross-border payments. The initiative was announced this week at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, the South China Morning Post reported. The future platform, called Universal Digital Payments Network, should ensure the interoperability between the two types of tokens. The goal is to allow businesses from different countries to transact and settle in different regulated digital currencies. The UDPN white paper explains. Further elaborating on its intentions, the government-backed firm wrote, just as the SWIFT network created the original common standard for messaging between financial institutions across different settlement systems, the UDPN will serve the same purpose for the emerging generation of CBDCs and stablecoins. SWIFT is the most common system for interbank transfers globally, but it has been seen as a leverage for the West, which, for example, cut off Russian banks from the network following Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Both Russia and China have sought greater autonomy from SWIFT. Since 2014, the Russian government has been developing its system for transfer financial messages, SPFS, while in 2015, Beijing launched a cross-border interbank payment system, CIPS. So also, the People's Bank of China issued a digital yuan, currently the most widely used CBDC, with trials expanding in a number of regions. Digital ruble is in the making, with the Russian Federation accelerating the schedule for its launch amid Western sanctions. So Red Date said that a number of global tier 1 banks will participate in a series of proof of concept trials that will take place between January and June of this year. It did not specifically name them, but representatives of Dutch Bank, HSBC, Standard Chartered, and the Bank of East Asia were present at the UDPN event. And then you have a couple institutions from here. They are, known Ripple partners. HSBC, Chris Larson on the high-level technology advisory board. You have Standard Chartered. They're running a node for the XRPL. So we all know what's good with that. So the company launched BSN in 2020 together with the state-owned telecom giant China Mobile, bank card clearing service UnionPay. There's Ripple relationship there. And the State Information Center, a government think tank, its main purpose is to facilitate the implementation of blockchain in corporate IT systems. Boom, there we go. So I don't think that it necessarily is going to be in competition with what Ripple's doing, maybe a complementary thing. But then we have this Bitcoin bull run starts. Picture's worth 1,000 words, right? You're seeing the same kind of movements happening. So you have this upward sloping ascending channel. You have, looks like the RSI down here. And every time we go into these bull market rallies, you see a huge spike and then it just comes back down, huge spike, back down. We round out. We go below this line here and then we kind of go sideways and then boom, as soon as we kind of kick up from that point and we set a higher high than these kind of lows that we set when we're building our base, that's when it's on. That's when it's on right there. And then boom, we repeat it over again. We go sideways. This was more elongated. So like this kind of right here was more stretched out. We could still be in like a more stretched out version of this. And what we're headed to next is maybe a more elongated kind of bull cycle that stretches us up into this upward zone over here. I mean, that's a huge price target, but definitely in the cards here. We're just beginning this bull phase and we know the timeline, 2025. So these next 2 years, along with the Bitcoin halving cycle too, more fuel for the fire could get very, very parabolic. So let's go to the next thing because we have another kind of chart. So it entered into the early bull phase. Very true. So on-chain bull bear market cycle indicator. Every time we go into the blue, we're in the bear market. When we get into the green, that's when we're starting to see the bull run start. We go into the blue in the bear market. When we get into the green, bull run starts. Same thing here. COVID crash. That's what we saw here. And now we're in the green. Now we're at this zero level right here. So we could be either kind of pulling a 2019 type scenario where we just rally and run, or it could be back here 2015 where it was a huge spike initially, and then we had to we come back down for one last fake out kind of tank in prices, retest the lows, and then the bull market starts. So it's either one of those scenarios, but at the end of the day, if it's this one, if it's that one, the moral of the story is that we're in the early stages of the bull market and we're just getting out of here. Now let's go to the next one. CFTC Commissioner Kristen Johnson urges Congress to expand agency's authority to review crypto acquisitions. Johnson reiterated concerns that the old regulatory frameworks like antitrust legislation may not be enough to prevent the next crypto crisis. So they're already preparing for it. Let's go down here. So a new cautionary tale. So Johnson didn't hesitate when discussing corporate failures that led to FTX's implosion, telling the audience that the collapse of a Bahamian exchange was the latest example in a string of cautionary tales woven together by a set of common threads. An almost 30-year-old CEO launches an international crypto exchange. Within a few years, the founder and the exchange achieved crypto celebrity status. At its peak, the exchange captured significant market share. Such meteoric rises, Johnson explained, are often followed by an all too common ending. Like lightning striking, an instant the exchange suspends trades, shutters the windows for withdrawals, silences traffic on its website, and files for bankruptcy protection, leaving customers infuriated, investors stunned, and creditors scrambling in a foot race to the courthouse. After the initial chaos, the jurist's lengthy process of cleaning up the mess of a crypto crisis remains. We are years, if not decades, from entangling the Gordian knot of conflicts of interest, an absolute failure of corporate governance, absence of effective internal controls and transactions with affiliated entities, she says. Boom, there we go. Then we have the Flare proposal vote. I think it ends tomorrow. So voting ends tomorrow, the 27th. Looks like the majority's in favor for it, the change. So that's that. Now let's go to this. So we got three numbers for you, XRP. So let's hear what they got to say here.
You're demanding a technology solution. And there's a long tail to those legacy assets to be digitally twinned. Let's talk about the long tail. I've got three numbers for you. 50, 160, 330. And those numbers are in trillions. There's 50 trillion in private equity. That's, private company value. There's 160 trillion in public private debt. And there's 330 trillion in global private real estate. That's 540 trillion. That's 540 trillion in assets that largely are not in the financial system.
Wait till those are tokenized. Like, we're talking an ungodly amount of money that is ready to be tokenized with some of these blockchain protocols here. Then let's save that for the end. We got chair of the new digital assets committee. Sending Bitcoin takes so long my coffee gets cold. It's not ready for payments. And he's on point with that. That's why you have other cryptos designed for payments, XLM, XRP, whereas Bitcoin is now turned into a digital gold type of store of value thing. Then this R3, excited to see that Bradesco, which looks like a Brazilian bank. So one of Brazil's largest banks has performed its first tokenization of a financial asset through Bolsa OTC Brazil using Corda and AWS Cloud. So great seeing DLT being used for impactful modernization journeys. Read more. We'll pull that up. But first, you can't tell the SEC what to do. As long as Gary Gensler is there, do you see any progress being made? Let's hear it. This is the chair of newly formed House Financial Service Subcommittee, which seeks to set new rules for the crypto industry. All right, let's go.
Blockchain right now is an emerging technology all over our country that are looking at how can blockchain or a distributed ledger be useful in their business to cut down on agency costs. And those don't always have to be completely disruptive. They might be more gradual as that innovation takes place. I mean, right now, for example, I love the comment the other day where somebody said a transaction using Bitcoin takes so long my coffee is cold. So this is not right now a technology that's ready for prime time in a real-time payments industry. But we want to make sure that America is the place for innovation in fintech, and blockchain and distributed ledger technology is part of that fintech future.
Well, it has real consequences to not have a framework in place. And, you know, I'm not saying that Sam Bankman-Fried didn't bring it on himself, but we certainly enabled some of that to be offshore, and it's going to help. It's going to help the industry, and it's going to help the technology if Congress could get its act together. Do you think there should be a spot Bitcoin fund? That's not going anywhere now either.
Yeah, so that's what we want to explore with this Digital Assets Committee. I think you'll see us look at a privacy law, a federal privacy law. I think you'll see us consider a stablecoin bill that we made progress on in the last Congress with work from our leader, Patrick McHenry, on the committee, and then Chair Maxine Waters. I think you'll see us explore what are the ramifications for the securities market, and work with the Agriculture Committee in the House and Senate on the commodity aspect of it, trading the coins and running, how should the exchanges be overseen. All that's on the table, and all that's going to be a priority for this year.
You think it's going to be this year, and you think it can be bipartisan when it's all said and done? That would take I don't know, that we're not there right now.
Hey, I specialize in bipartisan. This is an area that's important for our country. We need this regulatory framework, and we need to come together to have it, or we're going to have continued chaos that we saw last year with a string of bankruptcies across the industry. That's not helpful to developers, to the industry, to innovation, and certainly not to investors and consumers.
You can't really tell the SEC what to do, can you? I mean, that's going to be as long as Gary Gensler's there. Do you see any progress really being made?
Well, Chair Gensler says he was the cop on the beat last year. Gary Gensler also says that he's an expert in this area because he taught it in graduate school, blockchain and distributed ledger technology. So we'll invite him up to Congress to tell us what he knows and what he recommends in this area and what he was doing last year when we had so many challenges for our investors and our consumers.
All right, there we go. Now let's go into this. We got game over. Can't say I didn't say this 2 years ago. Told them it was going to happen. New global ISO 222 global payment system begins March 2023. So this from Swift. Get ready for ISO 222 for cross-border payments reporting. Plus, ensure you're fully prepared for March 2023. Starting your journey now will ensure you're ready to go live on ISO 222 for cross-border payments and reporting, and the start of the coexistence period from March 2023. We're so close. Then we got this. So they will never say XRP or Ripple. Tell me what this is. Let's see it.
Getting into this stablecoin introduction that was for the DEA, and Ripple is working with them. That is 100% fact. They outlined this. This is very, very crazy, okay? We're gonna tie all this together. An ecosystem could be expanded to the digital euro, either by having it directly issued on the same platforms or by facilitating exchange between digital euro units and those stablecoins by private actors. In this case, Ripple would be a private actor, okay? This exchange would facilitate the usage of both forms of money. The service would likely be offered by private actors, offering a de facto interoperability at the technical and legal level. Those actors, let me tell you, those actors would likely be strongly regulated. As Ripple is being targeted, they're gonna get regulated. Their protocol is gonna get regulated. Go ahead and smash that like button.
There we go. Now let's go to the next one. We got South Korea is currently considering 17 crypto-related proposals that will shape its forthcoming Digital Asset Basic Act. So let's see about that. All at the same time that the chairman of a new House subcommittee on digital assets is tackling stablecoin legislation as one of the top priorities. And we also saw that Moody's is releasing a stablecoins rating kind of thing as well too. Let's see both of these. So for South Korea, let's see. Necessary global cooperation. So there's no point in Europe being on its own. This is a global development. We can put barriers on it. This is going through all the different countries. So then India, no one single country can succeed individually being in a silo trying to regulate the crypto assets. Let's go down. So despite the rapid growth of the digital asset market and the increase in the number of users, legislation is being delayed in consideration of global consistency. So maybe that's why we're seeing SEC drag its feet as well too, or the judge in making a decision, because really ultimately we're waiting for the whole world to kind of come together on this and provide globally consistent regulation, legislation, and a framework for digital asset companies and to move forward and operate in a kind of guardrailed way, like a order of actions that they can abide by to not get hit with an SEC lawsuit, something like that. So there we go. Now we got this from the subcommittee for stablecoin regulation. It's the first on their priority. On here, you have one such action was the ugly baby bill stablecoin bill worked out by then Chair Maxine Waters and Patrick Henry. Stablecoins, which are backed by an asset such as the US dollar or gold, appear to be the most straightforward or low-hanging fruit tied to crypto. They're working on a draft bill for that. So who should regulate? It's not clear yet, whether it's the SEC or the CFTC, but something else the subcommittee will sort through this year is deciding that, like who should be the primary regulator of the spot crypto markets. The CFTC is saying it should be them, but the SEC wants basically their hand all over it. Now let's finish it off with Ripple here. A State of Global CBDC Adoption with Daryl Duffy. This was released yesterday. So each quarter will be going under the hood with professors from Ripple's University Blockchain Research Initiative to gain a deeper understanding of trending topics in crypto and blockchain. So there seems to be almost as many opinions about the viability and best use of CBDCs as there are countries currently exploring them. That's 114 for those keeping count. Even in the US, there are mixed views on CBDCs. While the Undersecretary for Domestic Finance at the Treasury downplayed the need for one late last year, American Banker kicked off the new year with a headline about the increased pace of CBDC projects in 2023. To get some clarity, we sat down with Professor Daryl Duffy, the Adams Distinguished Professor of Management, Professor of Finance at Stanford Graduate School of Business, and active UBRI participant. Let's go down. Which countries are seeing the most traction with CBDCs, and who do you predict will have the next pilots or proof of concepts in production? CBDCs are a global phenomenon. There are now more than 100 countries representing over 95% of the world's GDP exploring a CBDC, all at different stages of development. Among large countries, the US is the least advanced in developing a CBDC, in part due to the lack of government regulations, while China, even though it already has top-notch digital and mobile payment solutions like Alipay and WeChat Pay, is the furthest ahead. Yet, despite China's progress, the digital yuan has had limited traction. Part of this can likely be attributed to privacy concerns by its citizens. The rest of the world is somewhere in between these two margins. Some smaller countries like Bahamas and Nigeria have already formally introduced CBDCs into their economies, but have not seen high usage or consumer adoption. In these countries, adoption lags not just because of the intro of CBDCs, but due to the lack of internet access and education about how to use digital wallets. On the flip side, Brazil successfully upgraded its commercial bank payments using its new PIX system and is now developing a CBDC for wholesale financial applications. Others like India, Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Eurozone are all engaged in pilots or testing. What do you see as being the main drivers of adoption and exploration of CBDCs? He said each country has its own reasons for exploring one. Some, like Sweden, Canada, Palau, and Bhutan, want to ensure the existence of a digital national currency in the event that paper money goes out of circulation or becomes too costly to print and has a negative impact on the environment. The stage is setting there. That's the narrative, what it's going to be when they ultimately do this. Where currency doesn't have to be printed or coins don't have to be minted, there are opportunities for significant cost savings. Other countries desire wholesale-only CBDC applications, which are fostering the development of more advanced payment systems or are examining a CBDC as a way to boost financial inclusion. In this early stage of development, every central bank has some amount of FOMO, or fear of missing out, and wants to ensure they have viable CBDC project underway so they don't fall behind, or in case the technology turns out to be quite useful for applications such as cross-border payments. Still, many central bankers remain unsure of the ultimate use case for or utility of the technology and are moving slowly as so not to disrupt their commercial banks. Despite this uncertainty, I expect more countries to continue working on CBDC development. In particular, many European countries are moving quickly towards a digital euro. Russia also working on a CBDC, perhaps highly motivated by backstopping its access to international payment systems. What's your pulse on the current sentiment around CBDCs and stablecoins in the US? Wow, there's a huge storm happening right now. Attitudes towards CBDC and stablecoin development vary by agency and branch of the US government. In a 2022 executive order earlier, the Biden admin asked for recommendations on how to improve the US economy using digital assets like CBDCs and stablecoins via better regulation. The Treasury Department responded with suggestions ranging from the use of existing payment methods like digital payments to the development of both public and private digital currencies. Without clear direction from the president and Congress about how and when to move forward on issuing a CBDC, the U.S. Federal Reserve is proceeding cautiously to ensure collaboration between banking regulators, central banks, commercial banks. Meanwhile, the Fed is engaged in basic research on digital currencies. For example, Project Hamilton, a joint effort between the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston and MIT Digital Currency Initiative, is exploring the core technical issues of a CBDC and is one of 2 active projects. Project Cedar at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is researching the use of wholesale CBDCs for interbank and other wholesale financial applications like settling bond trades and making foreign exchange payments. Then we have this to end it off. So where do we go from here to help accelerate more widespread adoption? If central bankers in the US do move forward with developing a digital currency, one critical consideration will be how to best encourage its use by consumers, given the high barriers to adoption such as education, security, and privacy. Take credit cards, for example. It's easy to imagine consumers choosing to use a credit card over a CBDC in order to earn travel or cashback rewards. Without an added incentive, widespread adoption of a CBDC will be tricky, and banks will probably not want to cannibalize their existing profitable payment services. In response to this, countries like Bahamas, Jamaica are offering incentives to citizens to use CBDCs to purchase local goods and services. This makes choosing to use a CBDC more enticing for citizens rather than paying interest rates mandated by credit card companies. Consumer education campaigns won't be enough. The government and the Fed should actively work to surmount these challenges and boost competition and innovation in payment systems. This could include, for example, capping interchange fees at a lower level to limit credit card rewards, or mandating a standardization of apps through which banks offer CBDC payments and new fast payment systems like FedNow. For at least some years, FedNow could be a very effective substitute for a digital dollar if provided in a highly accessible and interoperable way. Countries are learning that it's not simply a case of if you build it, they will come. Thoughtful consumer education, upgraded infrastructure, and meaningful incentives are needed to accelerate adoption. Irrespective of the US, the pace of CBDC development around the world will accelerate over the coming years, with more and more countries moving into active pilots or tests. Whether deployed for domestic economic purposes or for cross-border transactions, the usefulness of CBDCs will grow as adoption increases and specific use cases are proven out. To learn more about Ripple CBDC solution, there it is. Now, finally, to end it off, Amazon initiative coming soon for NFTs. Exclusive. So world's largest retailer has been hovering at the edges of Web3 tech for some time. Amazon is launching a digital assets enterprise, according to 4 sources familiar with the matter, who said an NFT initiative is expected in the spring. And the publicly traded Goliath is said to have little more than a dozen crypto native partners on deck to get things off the ground. There's a focus on blockchain-based gaming and related NFT applications. One example in the works, per one source, getting Amazon customers to play crypto games and claim free NFTs in the process. The effort is still developing, sources said. April appears to have been penciled in for the e-commerce giant to make its bold crypto ambitions public. April, baby. So Amazon executives leading the push reach out to at least one family office in recent months. There we go. I mean, this is the year. I mean, you're starting to see big glass come into the space full force. And they're not going to be doing that for no reason. They recently partnered with Avalanche and also Flare with Amazon Web Services and other ones with Amazon Web Services. So you're seeing everything come to light. But one other thing is, while Amazon Web Services has posted occasional roles for developers and engineers in the Web3 realm, an e-commerce site is not as well known for exploring the crypto or blockchain arenas. An Amazon Coins program continues to exist following an intro in 2013, but it is more akin to a straightforward loyalty program than a crypto initiative. Remember, too, the rumors from Kendra Hill saying that Amazon owns like 5 billion XRP. Maybe there's a resolution in the case, and then Amazon's announcing, hey, we own some of this stuff to do cross-border whatever, or we have it for the treasury. I mean, you're going to see an explosion in XRP if that's the case. And then Ripple going public. There's so many dominoes to fall for that. So if you haven't already, click subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's going to be a busy year. So that's for sure. Come join the Discord too. I'll put the link in the bio for that. And I'll see you guys in the next video.